Okay, if I can have your attention, please, here in the Media Center at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, we have a very special announcement that we'd like to bring forth today. And first of all, I will introduce our folks that are up front here. To my right, Jim Obermeyer is the Managing Director of Brand and Consumer Marketing for NASCAR. Terry Stripling is President of 1080 Education. Kiera Fisher is 1080 Education student from nearby Legacy High School. Bobby Hutchins is the Director of Competition for Stewart Haas Racing. And Ryan Newman is the driver of the number 39 U.S. Army Chevrolet for Stewart Haas Racing and currently ranked in the top 10 in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series championship point standings. So there's some exciting news for us to share, and at this time I'll turn it over to Jim Obermeyer.
Good afternoon. We're very excited about the partnership that we've just engaged in with 1080 Education. This is a partnership that helps get both NASCAR and continues 1080's already success in getting into the schools to teach science, math, engineering, and technology, STEM. I'm sorry, science, technology, engineering, and math. I got to get my acronym correctly. The program itself is a dynamite program that uses remote control cars at 1/10 ratio to the cars that we have on track. They allow for a lot of the setups and configurations from downforce all the way through camber setup, the same way our teams participate. And we felt that this was a great way to introduce ourselves into the schools in a way that separates us from all the other leagues and sports who are typically in there around agility and athleticism. This is something that really is part of the education curriculum and helps teach a much needed territory for our youth today. So,
thank you, Jim. And Terry, tell us why a relationship with a big sports organization like NASCAR works for 1080.
Right. Not just any sports organization, just NASCAR actually. The math and science concepts that students like Kiera all over the country are learning, every single one of them is actually illustrated on the track every week. When the race cars are out there, the students can look out and see engineers in war wagons looking at data, making decisions. And from an engineering perspective, that's very exciting. It creates a bunch of heroes for engineers. 1080 Education is actually a team of engineers and educators. So I'm an engineer. My background is chemical engineering. Jeff Thompson over there, mechanical engineer. And we're educators. Beverly Simmons over there on the wall there represents the educational side of our company. So from both sides, it makes a lot of sense to work with NASCAR. I already said, as an engineering perspective, NASCAR creates heroes. So the students like Kiera look out on the racetrack every week and they see guys in the war wagon making their decisions, crunching numbers. Drivers only have a chance to get it right if the engineers make smart decisions. So student teams are using 10-scale cars to do the same thing. They're actually in their schools working on projects and investigations, just like, as Mr. Obermeyer said, just like what the teams out there on the track are doing. And not just at the track, but in the weeks and the months, the arduous preparation that comes before a racetrack. So from an educational perspective, it makes sense because it's actually a little league for future engineers. So if NASCAR is the big leagues, the 1080 Student Racing Challenge is the little leagues. Not just for future engineers. It's actually for PR and marketing people who we've been working with, communications, people automotive. I mean, Kiera here works in automotive class and in calculus class. So just like on the real NASCAR industry, the racing industry really represents every kind of talent. The Student Racing Challenge invites everyone in the school to get involved. So it's not just any sport. NASCAR is what makes sense to get students interested in STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics education.
Thank you very much, Terry. This time I'll ask Kiera Fisher, who is from nearby Legacy High School. Talk about this news that you've been involved with today and about your affection and interest in this type of curriculum.
Well, NASCAR is something that I enjoy dearly. I've been a huge fan. And when I realized that my school was going to participate in 1080, I was so excited that we would get to be involved with something like NASCAR, and we get to work on a much smaller scale. Like I said before, that we get to build our own cars, and we kind of act like our own little pit crew, and we design our cars to run on different tracks and see what is the best. And with this program, it allows us to bring science into the classroom and work with our cars in a way that is much more fun than working from a textbook.
Thank you very much. And Bobby Hutchins, you've been in the sport a while, and certainly know the importance of keen engineers and what it takes to help put together a winning race team. And talk about this program and the impact you think that it can have down the road for the sport.
Well, just seeing the enthusiasm on the students out there as we were out talking to them doing the Q&A was great. And like we talked to them about, there's jobs in our sport for engineers and technology type people, and hopefully Ron and I give them a goal out there a while ago that, hey, they get that resume done, they get through college, do the right things, participate in these programs, learn a little bit about our sport. At the end of the day, hopefully maybe we can hire some of these kids into our race teams. And you know, that's a dream, that's a goal. That's the same thing Ron and I had when we were kids in racing. For me, it was a long time ago, and we weren't fortunate enough to have a program like 1080. So I'm pretty excited to see that, and hope that these kids will eventually come from grassroots into our world, basically.
Thank you, Bobby. And Ryan, as a racer and student of the sport, talk about this relationship now that NASCAR has with 1080.
I just really like the fact that it's hands-on. I mean, there's a time to study, and there's a time to read, and there's a time to apply all those things to a piece of paper. But when you take the opportunity to do it hands-on as a group, I think you become a better team. And doing what they're doing with the 10 scale cars is something that I did on a personal level back when I was their age. I had my own little slot cars. I had my own little RC cars. I rebuilt them. I try to make them go faster, try to make them turn better, all those types of things. But I didn't do it as a group, and I think when you do it as a group, you learn the people skills to do bigger and better things. And just proud to represent the engineering group of the whole program, the engineering side of it, understanding the math and the physics and the sciences that make a difference. And I think that those things are obviously very important in what we do out there on the racetrack. So it's extremely important, not just if they want to be involved in NASCAR, but whatever they do in the rest of their life. Racing a 10 scale RC car will have an impact on the rest of their career, the rest of their life, the rest of their profession.
Thank you very much. Now we've got time to take a few questions. If anyone has a question of our panel up here regarding the announcement and the new relationship with 1080, please raise your hand and we'll bring the wireless mic around to you. Any questions? Right here, Reed has one. If we could bring Reed the mic there, Savannah.
Yes, Reed Spencer with Sporting News. Just wondered if there was any interface between this program and the Science of Speed, which was developed through the National Science Foundation.
Well, actually, if you've seen the Science of Speed, then you know Deandra Leslie Pilecki, Dr. Deandra. We've actually been colleagues together, and we actually introduced Deandra to some of the people that she knows here in the sport. So 1080 does have a relationship with the National Science Foundation. So they actually are looking right now at getting involved deeply with this program and piloting actually here in California. So 1080 has a relationship with National Science Foundation and with Deandra, who is the MC there.
Anyone else have a question? Claire has one, and then Bob Pockris. Let's get Claire the mic, then we'll go to Bob Pockris. And then we might have these fine folks pose for a photo, and then I might ask Ryan Newman to stick around for a couple minutes and do his top 10 driver media. Go ahead, Claire.
Can you guys just talk about the long time in coming of this? I remember Ryan talking about how he thought there should be more emphasis on education when he first came in the series years ago. And I wonder how long you think this is in coming that we're putting attention on this in this way and using NASCAR.
Well, this relationship has been ongoing now for about a year as we've been planning and looking at options on how we'd like to enter the school and be in front of students. It was probably and certainly more accelerated after folks like Bush and Winston vacated the sport from their sponsorship position with two 18-plus or 21-plus categories in terms of age. As the entitlement partners for so many years, we had not focused and chosen not to focus on youth as a target. So now in the third year of Nationwide, having taken over for the Bush Series, we're in a great position where we can actually enter schools, feel comfortable that that we've got good brands that will extend that way. And we had looked at a host of options, whether we wanted to look at some of the other elements around the sport. So whether it was a communications, whether it was a pit crew physical fitness program, we looked at a lot of different options and felt that this is really an interesting one that helped explain the sport, pique the interest, but also helped facilitate the academic side of it as well.
Go ahead, Bob.
Bob Parker, Scene Daily. Did you choose Ryan to work with you because he was a college graduate? I mean, was that key to have somebody who actually had a degree?
Well, a college graduate from Purdue with an engineering degree was all good. It's interesting how badly he schooled some of the kids out there with the car. He's very talented with a remote control car. So there were a lot of reasons, but I don't know if you have anything else to comment on that.
I thought it was a great reason.
Anybody else have a question for these folks? Okay, thank you very much. If you y'all want to get up front here, maybe we can pose for a photo. That'd be great. Thank you all so much. Congratulations to 1080. Terry, thank you so much. Kira, thank you so much. Good luck. Jim, thank you. Bobby, Ryan, thank you very much for joining us today. Okay, Ryan is going to stick around here for a couple minutes before we get out there for qualifying. And Ryan, just to talk about your start so far, you are 8th in points, and I'm sure you'd like to keep that up. But talk about first couple of weeks for the number 39 U.S. Army Chevrolet.
Well, it's the best two-race start of the season since my Daytona 500 victory in 2008. So just really proud to get started better. I think we did a good job so far of carrying a good run in the last 10 races of last year into the off season and turning that into a good start to the season, which is not easy to do. Maybe Carl Edwards doing just a little bit better than us, but ultimately it's been a lot of fun to start. We've led the most laps at Daytona, which was a great feat for us as a team. I think the first time for me to restrictor plate track, and the first time for me at Stewart-Haas as far as leading the most laps, I think. But a good solid top 5 finish at Phoenix, and that's 3 top 5s in a row at that racetrack. So just proud of the effort that the guys have put in the off season, and all the sponsors for getting us the opportunity to come back and do what we love.
Okay, we'll take some questions for Ryan. If you have one, raise your hand. Questions for Ryan Newman. Anybody? Bob Pockris, straight back, please.
Did you feel, or did you get any sense for what the new nose will do at Phoenix, or is this the first week that you'll really be able to tell a difference?
I honestly haven't noticed any difference in the way the car drives aerodynamically or physically as far as hitting the racetrack. This new nose compared to the old nose. So this new nose is supposed to be more rigid, but in saying that, I wouldn't have known any different whatsoever. I don't know many drivers that I've talked to that would say anything any different.
Question right here for Mr. Mike Mulhern.
Mike Mulhern, MikeMulhern.net. There are a lot of crashes that have gone on the first couple of races. Early in the race, I mean, we see Carl Edwards and Kyle Busch doing something at the front of the pack. I know there's a lot more intensity right now, but a lot of drivers just don't seem to be thinking out there. I mean, the race lasts like 3 hours or 4 hours or whatever it is, and you don't win it in the first 50 laps. Is there a dynamic I'm missing? Is it
doesn't
sponsorship?
mean you can't try, though.
I mean,
it's like when you know there's going to be 185,000 people, whatever, leave the racetrack on Sunday, but we're all going to try to get to the airport first. We know there's going to be traffic, but we still try to do it fast, right? We still honk our horns. We still cut people off. It's just the way it is. Honestly, I mean, I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was having Saturday just qualifying and more time to think about the race. I honestly think that what happened was NASCAR announcing the mandatory caution at 40 changed the strategy for some teams, and we saw some guys that didn't pit stayed out, and guys that were running up front in turn were running 15th, and we're trying to get everything back in the first couple laps. It felt like green, white, checkered restarts at Martinsville or Richmond or Daytona, for that matter, at times. Every restart we had there at Phoenix for the first 5 or 6. I mean, it was literally crazy. I don't know how we didn't have more crashes than what we did. I mean, the big crash that happened was because the tailpipes cut down a tire, which just was kind of a freak instance, I guess you could say. But you know, it was chaotic. Was probably the best word you could use to describe the racing for the first 65 laps.
Why should we see the same thing here?
Why should we or why shouldn't we? I guess it's the same question, isn't it? I honestly, I don't know. I don't know if it was because of that competition caution and the way things played out, then maybe I don't. Maybe it'll be different. I don't know. I mean, I hope that we all kind of learned from the chaoticness, which I think is a word. I tried to play it when I was playing Scrabble on the way here. Chaoticness. I think that we can. I know we can do a better job than what we did there, but I don't know if we all will hold up to our potential.
Other questions for Ryan? Right over here. Rusty has one right behind you there, ma'am.
Rusty Ball and NASCAR Media Group. Off week, and we're heading towards some short tracks coming up. Just wanted to get your thoughts on Martinsville. You seem like the kind of guy that probably can appreciate the history behind that track and kind of what it's meant to the sport.
I like it, and I don't know why it is, being the biggest guy in the garage. I've never had one of them hot dogs before, but I like the racing. I like, you know, the fact that you have to really modulate that third pedal that we don't typically use as much, which I think makes it an exciting race for us drivers. The history of the sport, just watching back in the days in the modifieds, just like, you know, Bobby shared some stories with me of his dad racing there in the modifieds and getting up on the fence and climbing the walls and stuff like that. Just, you know, it's the kind of racing that we still do that is where we all came from, whether it was in stock cars or modifieds or open wheel cars, the short track, hard on the brakes, you know, small tight half-mile racing that I think there's 95% of the people in the garage still appreciate. Yep.
Any other questions for Ryan? Okay, Ryan, thank you so much. Thanks for participating in the 1080 program, and good luck out there this weekend.
Thank you.